This Detroit Tigers season was the tale of two halves. A first half that looked like the Tigers had a real chance to go out and win the American League pennant, and then a second half where it looked like they might go from the 1 seed to missing October entirely. Their 15-inning marathon last night perfectly summed up their season on all levels. Don't forget, this Tigers team had a 15.5 game lead in the division and were easily the 1 seed in the American League. And that was just an omen of what was to come. If they were the 1 seed and they had home field advantage, maybe they would have won in Game 5. They did win both home games that they played, and they got worn down in the wildcard round in those 3 games as well. If they had gotten a bye, who knows, maybe they would have been able to win this game. But they didn't because they fell off in the second half of the season. However, while all of this is very negative so far, they're still a very, very good team going forward in my opinion. They still have Tarik Skubal, and of course, he's one of the best players in baseball. However, Tarik is one of the big fears that I have with this organization. He's going to get $400 million easily, in my opinion, on the open market. And this is coming soon. This is the last year that the Tigers have Skubal under contract. Can Detroit pay that $400 million contract? Maybe. But will they? Maybe again? I really don't know. Skubal should be top 5 in MVP voting this year. He's one of the most valuable players in all of Major League Baseball. Not just the American League, not just the Tigers, all of baseball. This guy was a monster this year. He's gonna win his 2nd straight Cy Young, and he's debatably the best pitcher in the league, and if not 1, he's 2 behind Paul Skeens. If they do keep him, this team is set up very well on long-term success. However, if they don't keep him, they're not that special. So you have to wonder, do you trade him this year and get a ridiculous prospect package? You might be able to get 2 or 3 top 100 pitching prospects from a team. Teams like the Boston Red Sox have Kahnle early, Peyton Tolley, Brandon Clark, all of those guys are top 100 pitching prospects. Do you try to package something like that together for Skubal and really set yourself up for the future? Or do you try one more year with him, try to win in 2026, and then let him walk in free agency? Or this offseason, do you fork over $450 million and keep him in Detroit for the next decade? Personally, that's the route I would go. Normally, if you look at teams that win in October, they have a true ace, and obviously Skubal, being the 2nd best pitcher in baseball, is a true ace. They're very difficult to find, it's extremely challenging to find a workhorse that can perform in October, and because Detroit has, I would keep him personally. But I don't know if that sticks into the budget that Detroit is going to be building with. And by the way, if your team is still in the playoffs or has been eliminated or didn't make the playoffs, I'm gonna need you to subscribe to the channel because only 4% of my viewers are subscribed and I'm trying to hit 25K by the end of the year. So subscribe. Now, this season, they lost at the trade deadline, in my opinion. They didn't get the big fish when their season was falling apart. They thought that they would be able to coast at the top of the AL Central and then hopefully go on a run in October. So all they really added was Charlie Morton and Kyle Finnegan. And that was not enough. They were rumored to be in on Eugenio Suárez, they were rumored to be in on other guys as well, but they didn't go out and get those guys. Suárez is on the team that just eliminated them. He wasn't good in this series whatsoever, but it's still just the point that they didn't go out and get firepower where the Mariners did, and even though the Tigers were better in the first half of the season than Seattle got better at the deadline, and the Tigers kind of just stayed the same. They didn't even have Charlie Morton in the postseason, they DFA'd him. They also really needed to get a true back-end reliever or 2, and they got some, but they weren't going to move the needle. Kyle Finnegan is really nothing to me. Like, he's not a very good pitcher. And again, that's same with their 3rd starting pitcher. They needed another big guy in the rotation to go with Casey Mize and Tarik Skubal. Jack Flaherty is okay, I guess, but he's not really good. And again, Charlie Morton and Chris Paddack, that just wasn't it. That wasn't enough to move the needle. In 2026, there's a fairly weak free agency class for the Detroit Tigers, which is great for them. Kyle Finnegan, Chris Paddack, Rafael Montero, and Tommy Kahnle. Actually, that's a huge portion of the bullpen that is leaving, but none of those guys are particularly great. They could replace them pretty easily with some mid-leverage relievers, but Gleyber Torres is a free agent as well. They have to bring him back because he was really good for the Tigers in 2025. They also lost their season in free agency last year, now that I'm thinking about it. Alex Bregman was right there, and he was heavily rumored to go to the Tigers, but they didn't pull the trigger and they didn't make the big offer that they had to. And because of that, they didn't have enough firepower and lost by only scoring 2 runs in 15 innings. In 2027, the Tigers have Casey Mize and Tarik Skubal as free agents. They have to find a way to win in 2026. There are no excuses. When your starting pitcher 1 and 2 are free agents in the following season, you need to win this year, and that's the reality of the Tigers. Maybe they go after Alex Bregman again if he does opt out of his contract, which is seeming very likely, but I don't know because their contract situation isn't great. There's lots of guys going into arbitration this year, so arbitration costs are going to be even higher than they were in 2025. Skubal is projected $23 million. Casey Mize and Spencer Torkelson are projected $10 million combined. Riley Green, Zach McKinstry, and Kerry Carpenter are each projected $4 million each, which that's a great steal for them, obviously, because all of those players are very good. Next year, their contracts are going to go up way more, and again, that's 2027 where they might not have Skubal or Mize, so they really have to win this season. The payroll is sitting at a projected $129 million with Jack Flaherty on his player option and $109 million without. Jack Flaherty said he's not sure if he's going to opt in or out of his contract. Personally, I think he should because he's not that good, and $20 million is a lot of money, but either way, this payroll's already pretty high because the last time the Tigers spent over $145 million was 2017. They don't operate like a high market team, and I think that the Tigers really have to go out and get their payroll closer to $200 million. But are they going to do that? I don't know. I don't think that they've ever spent $200 million on their payroll, ever. So that's a big ask for them, but they have to do it if they're going to compete with the American League. Teams like the Red Sox, Yankees, Astros, Blue Jays, these teams are all in the American League. They're all going to spend money. So if you want to compete with them, you're going to have to spend money as well. The pieces are in place for the Tigers, especially in the rotation and the offense. In the bullpen, the pieces really are not in place. Will Vest is good, but that's kind of about it. I guess Tyler Holton is also good, but whatever. Their bullpen is not good. They have to add to that really badly. And again, I think the offense should be solid in 2026 again, but I still think that they need that extra bat. And Alex Bregman, they also have to bring back Gleyber Torres. If they could find a way to get a Pete Alonso or a Kyle Schwarber and make it work in the offense, I think that would do wonders for them, of course. I think they need a little bit more power. Pete Alonso would actually be such a good fit, even though they have Torkelson. So maybe positionally it's not a great fit, but that kind of power bat, they really need a little bit more power. But Alex Bregman is just as good of a fit to keep the line moving, in my opinion. They have to do something. I think if they can get close to that $200 million payroll, I think they can easily win the American League. But we have to see if ownership is going to be willing to do that. They already have tons and tons of players on major discounts. Take advantage of that, spend more money somewhere else, and go win in 2026. If not, I think the future is very dark for the Tigers. This is kind of their last dance, in my opinion. I don't think Skubal is going to be coming back to Detroit. Casey Mize might, but if you don't have Skubal, I don't think you're going anywhere if you're the Tigers. They need more pitching, even though in Game 5 they lost entirely due to the offense. They need another very good starting pitcher behind Mize and Skubal, and they need a bullpen that is not what it looked like in 2025. They're still in a really good spot for 2026, but again, after that, I'm scared that this team's gonna have to go into full rebuild mode if they can't win in 2026. Good luck, Tigers fans. Let's see what you have for the offseason.